In today's video, I'm going to show you exactly how you can lead your wife or girlfriend back into emotional safety without having to convince her of anything when she says she is done talking and is becoming distant from you. When a woman shuts down and basically gives you no expression or energy coming back towards you, most men experience the exact same internal reaction where we start to think very dark thoughts that we are going to lose her fast, and we question if she's already out the door. So naturally, we go into this mode of trying to recover the moment and start explaining, clarifying, fixing, or defending. And if you are like I was for so long in my life, you end up in arguments and fights that end up pushing her further away when your intention is the opposite. You notice that the more you talk, the more she drifts further away emotionally. What took me a very long time to learn in life was that she didn't shut down because of that one conversation or even the other conversations themselves in the past. She shut down because she doesn't feel emotionally safe with your overall state. When she shuts down, most of us assume that she is basically done with us and has already given up completely. However, that is actually almost never the truth. When a woman shuts down, it is her body telling her that if she opens up right now, she's going to get hurt. Not physically, but emotionally. This shutdown is a protection mechanism, not a rejection mechanism. What you need to understand about when she shuts down is that she's overwhelmed and scared of your reactions. She's scared of her own reactions as well because she feels like anything she says will either start a fight, get dismissed by you, or used against her later. So her shutting down is her body choosing silence because it has seen so many repeated instances of the same behavior in return from you, so that her body believes silence is much more safer emotionally than expressing anything. I want to dive a bit into more of the male experience when she goes quiet and you start to notice a change in her behavior around you. The feeling I remember before I learned everything that I know today was starting to almost immediately panic when she became distant because I knew something was wrong. You could sense it, and the silence coming from her was so ironically deafening. I am sure you have experienced this as well, and if you have, put a comment below sharing your experience. But I felt it physically, and my brain started screaming to make me want to say something to her, anything I could to fix it and make that silence go away, and to make sure she doesn't pull away further and further. And what I had to learn through over a decade of pain and doing that same thing over and over again is that actions resulting from our brain screaming these thoughts to us make us do the exact thing that kills emotional safety. We chase, we push, we overtalk, and we think that showering her with our feelings will bring her closer. And when we try to force that clarity out of her on where she stands and where the relationship stands, but it actually goes the complete opposite way. This is where most men accidentally communicate insecurity instead of leadership. Because you may not think of it this way, but that feels like leadership to us because that's our version of taking action and movement, and we're trying to solve that problem which is right in front of us, which is your wife or girlfriend pulling away. But to her, when you do this, it feels like you are forcing and emotionally crowding her because she knows it is now a response of anxiety to the deterioration of the relationship dynamic. So she sees it. Again, this is through her nervous system, but she will see you as a man who cannot hold himself steady unless she responds to you with validation that the relationship is okay and that she's not going anywhere. So through all this, she shuts down further because your panic amplifies the very state she's scared of, and it becomes this feeling of hopelessness to you when you see nothing is working with her. The truth is that her shutdown reveals your inability to have masculine containment of her emotions. And because that is so important, I want to talk about a key piece that you have to understand before you can lead properly if you're going to start the successful path of turning your relationship around. The majority of men actually get this wrong, and I'm incredibly stubborn, so I did for a very long time as well. But us as men just want to solve the problem. So we think, okay, let's talk it out, which is a good thing. Communication is obviously a big key to successful relationships, but more talking to us means basically trying to negotiate the relationship back into a good standing. The key is that she needs to feel emotional safety before she can talk. That is the misunderstanding of most men because we believe, yes, women love to talk, so I just have to talk it out with her. But they missed that step about the emotional safety in the dynamic that needs to be created before the talking can occur. She needs to process by feeling first. Speaking is what she will do after emotional safety is restored. This very delicate misunderstanding by men is what creates the shutdown collision. So when you rush her and demand clarity on where things stand, and you ask her what's wrong 4 different ways, and I'm not judging you, by the way, because I'm speaking from 1,000% experience of doing it myself, This is all panic action that pushes her deeper into the shutdown and escalates her silence without you realizing why. Now, I want to move more into the leadership piece and how you're able to start restoring safety without even talking. The biggest step you have to do first is to shift your nervous system before even thinking about talking with her, because doing this is going to help you remove pressure from the moment. So when she shuts down, your priority is simple. I didn't say easy because I know that it can be challenging to change an entire philosophy on a dime, but the concept is simple. You have to slow yourself down and not force responses back to her, and maintain yourself in a calm and steady manner. When you take this first step to settle your body, this helps to tell her subconscious, okay, maybe he is actually steady. Maybe he's not going to react like he always has in the previous times. That calmness is the initial crack in the doorway to get her to open up. You have to take away the pressure from her in the moment and show up differently than what her confirmation bias believes that you will, because you've done so for such a long time. Pressure can be loud or quiet, and some men pressure without saying a word. This is done when you get into the conversations on the precipice of turning into an argument and they stare at her, or they let out this loud, frustrated sigh, basically waiting for her to talk, but showing signs of frustration and tension. You have to have your presence be grounded, because this is what helps melt pressure away from her nervous system. This is the part of the process of getting her to feel positive around you. Once that pressure is lowered, you can then shift further into the leadership mode. Maintaining this calm, grounded frame, no matter what she does, is what allows her to even consider opening back up to you. So if you start to do this, but she is being a bit cold and still stonewalling you, this is where you have to be consistent. You have to keep this calm frame, and you can tell her that whenever you're in a place, whenever you feel ready, you're here for her. This does three powerful things. It removes pressure, it keeps the door open, and it shows you're leading and you're not withdrawing. You then go back to what you were doing, not angrily or with an attitude, but you are the positive masculine presence that is not emotionally collapsing just because she went quiet and is staying that way for a bit. A grounded man creates safety simply by staying steady. This is where she starts to watch you. She's thinking, is this actually real, or is this just another performance? Because she's used to seeing you in a reactive, argumentative state. If you remain steady, you are rebuilding trust in a silent manner. I just want to start to wrap this up by talking about the biggest men mistake when they actually get to this stage. They are able to keep that calm masculine frame, but then because they feel confident about it, they then try to re-enter the conversation too soon. You need to wait until her body language softens and you can intuitively feel that she is less defensive and her energy becomes accessible again. You are the leader, so when you see these signs, you can re-engage by calmly and positively telling her that, earlier everything felt tense. I don't want these conversations to be in a place of tension. So whenever you feel ready, I would love to understand you better. The important thing when you do this is not that you're asking for details or asking for an immediate fix or just pushing that same old conversation that turns into arguments. You are leading the energy, not necessarily the topic. Let's just talk about identity for a second, because everything we've covered is pointless if you try to perform calmness instead of actually being calm. Women can feel the difference instantly because she will be able to sense that you are being calm, but there is an impatient undertone in your presence that is still essentially hanging on to her emotional reaction and getting the go-ahead that everything is okay. She will feel that you're trying to act stable, so she opens up. This is why it's important to make masculine calm a part of your identity, because that is leading internally and will be actually felt by her. This is why men fail when they try to use communication techniques to make things better. Your words don't really matter if your identity is collapsed. Your leadership is not the skill, it is the result of who you become. That's why the internal shift is everything. Okay, the last thing I want to talk about is to just bring it all together and give you a quick checklist on the most likely reasons she is frequently shutting down around you. 1, she doesn't trust your emotional stability. She is scared your reactions will escalate every conversation into an argument. 2, she doesn't feel understood, not because you're incapable of it, but because you rush the moment in trying to fix anything instead of understanding where she is coming from emotionally. 3, she's exhausted from carrying the emotional load. Silence is now her only form of self-protection at this point because you failed to lead the relationship as the man for an extended period of time. And number 4, she no longer believes talking leads to connection. This is painful, but it is fixable. You rebuild that through being a calm, masculine leader, not through nice words or being overly agreeable. Her shutdown is a mirror, not a mystery. It reflects the emotional climate that you have been leading. So to wrap this up, if you are exhausted from trying to fix your relationship and nothing you have tried is working, and you want to actually become the man that can lead these moments and rebuild the internal leadership that makes your wife feel safe again, then I invite you to go watch my free Relationship Rebuild Masterclass. In that training, I teach the exact identity level blueprint that rebuilds your leadership skills and ability to become the man your wife will naturally be able to reconnect with because you show up differently than you have before. These aren't communication tips. They're not therapy or counseling. This is leadership that actually makes the communication work and saves your marriage or relationship, bringing it to a thriving state you didn't think would be possible. The link is below in the description, and I encourage you to watch it today because time is not really on your side when you're trying to reconcile a struggling relationship. You can't fix it with another conversation. You have to fix it by becoming the man she can feel safe with again. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this. I post weekly videos for men struggling in their marriage or long-term relationship. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next episode.